So how's your week been, Mark? How's
Fun.
Chicago?
I just um I was in w- w- I was in Philadelphia doing some school programs last week, and then I on Friday flew in here to I'm in Northville, which is north of Chicago, about a half hour, and staying with some very dear friends. Robert Neustad is my co-creator. Are you recording so you can
Yeah,
edit these in if you want?
yeah, I'm
Okay,
just adjusting
so
some levels.
yeah.
Good.
So so Robert Neustad, my co-creator of the Imagination Station PBS series, uh, fellow Emmy Award winning, he actually well, we've been friends for 40 years since the Secret City. I met him on the set of Secret City. But if you can see, he up here, he's got wrong book though. Over here, you see all those Emmys up there?
Yeah, I can see
He's
those.
got he's got a whole bunch of Emmys. I got one. He's got like five, you know. So I met him, Robert Newstead, on the set of The Secret City back in 1985, where we were producing the series. My first children's national television series. I was 19 at the time. It was very exciting. And I was at Maryland Public Television, and in the studio next to the Imagination Station, or next to the Secret City, was the production of Louis Ruttheiser's Wall Street Week. This is way back in 1985. Louis Ruttheiser was a really big deal in Maryland. And one second. So I was at Maryland Public Television. I was 19, and we were doing this series. We were doing 3 shows a day, so I was exhausted. And so I'm wearing my spacesuit during the production, and it's afternoon, and I'm just really tired. So I snuck into the set next to mine, which was Louis Ruttheiser's set, and it's like the sacred, holy shrine to Louis Ruttheiser. He was, like he was like buddies with the governor, things like that of Maryland. And you weren't ever supposed to go into that set. That was the one rule that they would really emphasize when they first start production. Don't go into the Louis Ruttheiser set. He's very picky. Well, he's only there for 2 hours or 3 hours on Fridays, and the set's empty. So I go over there, and I'm tired, and it's kind of dark and peaceful, and the set has this big green couch on it. And so I went in there, and that's the couch where all the famous financial people and like vice presidents and senators, they would sit on this green couch for the interview. Well, that's where I started taking naps every day on this green couch. And I didn't think anybody knew or anybody saw, but one day this fellow came in. He was a producer from another show, but he came in. He was also on Lois Rucker. Came in to do something to the set. Saw me sleeping, and came over. He woke me up and he goes, excuse me, but you're not supposed to be in here. This is. It's, I don't know what happened. I'm sure that very clever words were exchanged, and we ended up being great friends. We ended up just connecting, and ever since then we've been best friends. That was over 40 years ago. And after the Secret City, we reconnected to collaborate and create back in. It was we did the show in 1985. So the Imagination Station was a collaboration 10 years later. So we reconnected for production. We remained friends, and he was in Northern California. No, he was in Maryland at the time, and I was in San Diego. But 10 years later, we collaborated, recreated the Imagination Station. And so we did that over a course of about 15 years. We did over like 160 episodes, I guess it is. What we recently discovered is 96 of those episodes on tape. We found these old archived tapes, and Robert and I really want to get these preserved. They're on tape still, and they still play. We tested them, but these are 30 years old, so we need to get them digitalized and reformatted and edited, and then we're gonna redistribute via maybe on YouTube, social media, or back onto PBS. But that's what we're doing is we're running a Kickstarter campaign to raise the funds to restore these. And so I'm real excited. That's what we were doing this morning. We were creating that Kickstarter. So your viewers, keep an eye. I got two cool campaigns going. One is going to be collaborating with the viewers on preserving those old tapes back to digital, so we can get them onto DVDs and get them onto some kind of accessible platform. I'm thinking probably YouTube. And then my live streams, I'm putting together a GoFundMe to help me continue on the daily live streams. I'm on teaching drawing, still teaching drawing in the world. After all these years, I still have pencil and paper, and I still really, really believe in my mission that drawing really helps people unlock their potential, creativity, imagination, and drawing is joy. And it really is what the world needs right now. I mean, the world's just spinning so fast, and it's just so challenging. How's that for a word? And now more than ever, the world needs creativity. It needs humor. It needs, this sense of creating together, and exploring imagination together. And so, with my daily webcast, I think I'm doing my little bit to help folks around the planet, find that inspiration and the little more peace, find that creative joy, inspire them to chase your curiosity. I love that. Chase your curiosity. That was a fun quote that one of my students, who grew up to be a really important illustrator, artist, community outreach director for NASA, Jack Moore, and he's actually in the movie that movie that was created about my career called The Secret Cities of Mark Kistler. That was fun. I don't know if you've seen that yet or not.
Not yet.
But Jack Moore, really cool guy, great family. He's in his 40s now, and I went to his school when he was 9 years old. He remembers that. And he got inspired, and he loved, with my business. That's his earliest recollection of really getting excited about drawing and punching illustrating. And he pursued his illustration career and is an illustrator for NASA community outreach. His mission through the visual arts with NASA is to share the wonder and the sense of awe for human space exploration to all of us that aren't engineers and scientists and technicians, everybody outside the circle of NASA, the public, sometimes it's hard for us to understand what they're doing. So the artists are able to visually present it to us in a way that's palatable, that we can understand, and that we can really, really share that wonderful sense of exploration. So I'm spinning off. I have no idea where we started, but
You're doing great. I just gotta say, man, you're quite the legend in PBS, like the Bob Ross for kids, especially for myself. I mean, when kids had their.
I actually met Bob Ross a couple of times. When my show was on after Bob Ross for many years, right after the show, and we would public television stations like Maryland Public Television, where I was producing my show. And Bob Ross was out of another show, I think up, Pennsylvania or Chicago or somewhere. But these were independent productions that we would offer, the stations would offer to other stations to pick up. And the way they promoted it is they have these programming conferences every year in different cities. And all the programmers get together and they meet, they talk about programming, they talk about issues with public television. Excuse me, I don't even know if they still do this, but this is back, 40 years ago. And so in the lobby, all the different independent producers would set up little tables to talk about their shows, to encourage programmers to pick up their shows. And I would set up my easel. I'd be wearing my spacesuit, and I'd be drawing on my easel promoting the Secret City Children's Show. And Bob Ross inevitably was somewhere in the lobby with his hair and his paints and his easel. He'd be painting. Well, one of these conferences, he was really close to my easel, and I'm a little noisy, around bunkers, and I was like 20 at the time, so I was being me, wah! And Bob Ross was being his chill, mellow self. He's over there painting, talking the program. And I was so starstruck. I was like, Bob Ross, oh my gosh, I'm a big fan. I was totally fanned out, geeking out. And he's kind of looking at me, and we had met a couple of times. So he knew who the spacesuit guy was. So he kind of smiled. And I said, "Oh, this is so great. My show, my children's show, is getting all the kids ready for your show. We're such a great team. And oh, look at your painting. You need some squirrels on those trees, Bob. You need some squirrels." So I took my Sharpie. Now I look back now. I'm 62 now, right? So I look back with the wisdom of 45 years, and I think, "Oh my God, cannot believe I did this." But I went over there, and I drew on his canvas a squirrel and the tree branch. Now it was oil, right? Or I can't remember. I think it was oil, the oil paint. And so the Sharpie didn't really, you can't draw on oil with Sharpie, but I was smudging an area where the squirrel should have been. I remember that. and now I look back now and I said, I can't believe he was so chill about it. But so what he did, this is the harshest thing he ever said to me. And half a dozen times we bumped into each other. He said, Commander Mark, I was wearing my spacesuit. They used to call me Commander Mark. He goes, and I was carrying a coffee. I always had coffee in my hand. I love my little coffee. I'm still coffee. So he said, Commander Mark, perhaps less coffee. That's all he said, and it was so great. And then he offered to give me the painting that I had drawn on. He's such a good sport. This is after the day. We were in the hotel, and he offered to give it to me. And I said, I made some lame excuse that I didn't have any way to get home, but thank you so much. And can you believe that? Now that painting is probably worth $60,000, right?
Or more.
Yeah, or more, right? And plus, yeah, with the smudge by Commander Mark. So that's my Bob Ross story.
Just a squirrel and a happy little tree.
Squirrel and a happy tree, and Bob Ross reprimanded me in his very chill way, saying, maybe less coffee, buddy, as I drink coffee. Gee, can you tell him a little ADHD, just a little bit?
Hey, I'm right there with you with ADHD. What first drew you to share your passion of art with others?
Okay, repeat that, please. My hearing aids.
No, what first drew you to share your passion of art with others?
Well, the whole movie, definitely. If any of your listeners find this remotely interesting, which thank you so much, I'm very grateful. I've been doing this for 40 years, and so I am so grateful and pleased that I've got millions of emails and letters of support, and drawings and interesting. And what I think inspired my first teaching was I was 14 years old. I've always loved to draw, and I knew I wanted to be a cartoonist. Ever since I was very, very lucky, very fortunate that I knew what I wanted to do from my earliest, from first grade. I used to copy the pictures and all the coloring books and the children's books, and so I was 14 and I read a book by Napoleon Hill. It was a positive thinking book. It was Think and Grow Rich. It's, you what you can think of, you can achieve. Norman Vincent Peale, and there's a couple other very influential art. I can't think of their names right now, but really, Schuler, right? I think of it. Do you recognize any of these names?
No, no.
All right. Well, really, really monumental works of drawing, works of inspirational writing. So I read Napoleon Hill. That was the first one. That was the most defining for me. And so, excuse me, I was 14. I read this book, and it just rocked my world. It was all about if you can dream it, you can make it come true. So I'll start with the root of my dream it, draw it, do it. And I really took it to heart. Really, and it was just it made sense. It was just so simple. It was that you are what you think about all day long. It just made sense, of course. And but Napoleon Hill was very, very um, focused and obsessed with money. Right? Think and grow rich. And I've never been really motivated by money, which I wish now, 62, I wish I'd been a little more, focused on it. But back then, my big thing was how many people could I reach? How many kids could I inspire? Because I was teaching these after school classes instead of having a part-time job at a gas station or something, I was teaching through Carlsbad Parks and Recreation, Carlsbad, California, my very first teaching gigs after school Wednesdays at 4 o'clock at the Carlsbad Parks and Recreation Community Hall. And I taught these for 4 to 4:45, these little classes for kids. And I had, I don't know, 10 kids to start with. And it was really cool. And then it got very popular. So then I had 2 classes, and then I had 2 days. Well, then I read this book, right? Think or Rich. And I figured, well, instead of imagining making millions of dollars by a certain date, a certain goal, and making it happen, that doesn't really motivate me. I'm going to imagine, I'm going to visualize, I'm going to set my goal to teach 1 million kids to draw before I was 21. And I thought, oh, okay, that's a good goal. So I was 15, I guess, at this time. So then I decided to reach out, and I had other cities that had heard about my program from Parks and Recreation. So I got Oceanside Parks and Recreation city next to going on like Thursdays, and then I got Vista Parks and Recreation, another city close on Fridays. On Saturdays, I got, Torrey Pine, San Diego, La Jolla. So soon I had 11 cities going. I had 2 each day, 2 classes each day. And it was really cool. And so I was, and then I'll tell a lot about the story. So I was, I guess, 15 when I really, really focused on, reaching out nationally and then globally. I think, a very interesting, compelling story, an inspiring story. That's the whole reason why I agreed to sit down with these filmmakers and create this film, was hopefully to share my story and, the relentless pursuit of a dream, whatever it is, just you really can, what you call it, Dan Craig, an illustrator, a comic artist, comic book illustrator. He did Spider-Man, Silver Surfer, Wolverine. Yeah, he was in the movie too. He's one of the students. He was a student of mine when he was young. He were on the show. And his quote, I just love this, is imagination manifestation. Manifest your imagination. And so I really, really do believe people can manifest your dreams, your imagination, your mission. You can manifest it through just really believing it, internalizing it, thinking about it, sharing your dream with other people. People want to lift up a dream and support, nourish, and and then a lot of work. You have to be willing to put in the miles. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get the stuffing kicked out of you. Life is fun like that, right, Johnny B?
Indeed.
At our age, and you just it really is. And you've heard this before, but it's so true. It's really the sign of your character and your strength to get up, dust yourself off, and here we go again, and then how many times it takes, but you still have that dream that you focus on it. So the movie is it's a good story. It's called The Secret Cities of Mark Kistler, and we we actually won the best documentary at the San Diego Comic-Con. Isn't that fun?
That's awesome.
And then we premiered it in New York City. That was surreal. Going there and see my name on the marquee and big movie poster outside. So I was standing in New York City on, the whatever avenue that was, with standing there with my space jacket suit on, standing there next to the big movie poster, people walking by, and I wanted someone to recognize me, right? I'm standing there, and people kind of look at me. I go like this, hey, hey. So that was pretty funny. Um, I have no idea. Again, it's whirling around, but it's a good movie. We won the best documentary at the San Diego Comic Con. That was a thrill. Where all of our team was there. We had a lot of the co-stars who were interviewed with the show. Joe Gorey, my co-star of The Secret City. He was the Zebtron, the robot, and he was Cindy the Dragon. So it was really, really cool having him there. We had Dan Fraga, Dan Fraga. We had he's from Image Comics, and he's the director. He directed the Ricky Gervais show, and he worked on, as I said, Batman, Silver Surfer, Spider. And then we had Tim Decker, who was interviewed on the movie also. I actually featured Tim in the two live streams. I'm here in Chicago, and he's in Milwaukee. So I took the train up yesterday to his art studio, and we did my live streams from his studio. And he and I drew together sitting at his drawing table, and I put that on live stream. He drew a hippopotamus, and I drew right along with him, and I shared it with the world. What's really cool about the live streams is that we get folks from, Peru and Australia and India and all over the United States, Canada, Mexico, of course, and then France, Switzerland. We always get four sisters from Switzerland, Copenhagen, Sweden. We get Sweden too, Netherlands. So I caught with my iPhone, right? With this little contraption, it never ceases to amaze me. I'm able to reach all over the world, on these live streams. So, all right. So back to the story of the movie. The Comic-Con, we won the best documentary, and we got awards from the Hollywood Film Festival, Houston Film Festival, and then it was distributed through Google Play, Amazon Prime, other platforms. You can get it, for a short time. You can watch it for free with commercials on Tubi.com. But I didn't know. I found that out from one of the viewers saying, "Hey, I just watched it for free on Tubi.com." It's like, cool. Tubi.com. So that's pretty cool.
I have to check that out.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. It's I watching it with my face, 40 feet tall on a big screen is surreal. It's really surreal. And I barely have watched any of my old PBS shows. It's difficult for me to watch myself. I edit. I could have said that. Oh, I'm mumbling, or I'm not enunciating. Well, now I'm going to say this, and this is going to, it's going to affect all of your fans who watch the show. Right before the movie, I had trimmed my mustache. Stupid. Oh my gosh. So I had gouged it, So I'm doing these interviews, and it's almost 90 minutes of my face. And the whole time I see that. So now your viewers are going to look, and they're not going to hear what I'm saying. They're going to say, "Holy goodness gracious, who trimmed his mustache?" Me.
And he can't get rid of the trademark mustache.
Yeah. I have the beard now. So people ask me if I get recognized, and it's sometimes they hear my voice. So my voice is similar, but I mean, I used to have dark hair 40 years ago and a dark mustache, and now I'm like Santa Claus's cousin, right? But I still love it. I still love the draw.
Looking back to origins of Secret City. I'm sure this is in the documentary, but how did the idea come about for a space-themed art adventure?
Um, I learned how to draw from uh, many great art teachers. One of the most defining pivotal art teachers was when I was in elementary school. My teacher from Carlsbad School District, a retired Disney artist, Bruce McIntyre, and he taught me the joy of drawing with what he called the seven elements of drawing, and I would end up studying with him all the way through high school. I would ride my bike down to his classroom. He had open drawing sessions like every Thursday afternoon for kids and all over the kind of like a Parks and Recreation class nowadays. But he would just have it open for free for the kids in the community. All these bikes would be piled up outside his classroom. And he was the one who invented the name Secret City. He started. He would teach us all these fundamentals, and he would teach us how to put all these images together, like molecules, like elements in a molecule, like a water molecule, hydrogen, oxygen. We would put together the cube, sphere, cylinder, thickness, and placement, and we put them together into these cities, these space cities, these secret cities, and that stuck with me for my whole life. And so it was inspired by my teacher, and when I was in 19, when we started doing this series, we were trying to figure out what was the theme going to be. And we were talking about ancient Egyptian. We could go anywhere we want with our imagination. We talked about like penguins and polar bears, and it's kind of a combination of this all. Going to all these different areas. And then we thought of the mummies, ancient Egypt was an idea, and like an underground world, that was another one. And then the space. I'm a Star Trek. I love Star Trek. The original version of Next Generation, and of course Star Wars. I love all those. So that really quickly took over the theme of space. And then, of course, just one thing led to another. And of course, I went back to my upbringing and my inspiration of the Secret City. So we were able to, so then we developed with that idea this never-ending mural at the end of each show where I can add to the Secret City, this ever-growing canvas of exploration, curiosity, imagination. We had whatever the lesson was, I would take that theme and I would implement it into this mural. I don't know if you remember it, but that was a 6-minute component at the end of every show, and it turns out that's the thing that people remember most. And I still have the mural. The Maryland Public Television crew, they shipped it to me in California as a gift. So I'm getting a text right now from Robert Newstead. This is funny. He was my collaborator. I told about him. I'm at his house right now, right? He sent me a text. He said, "Hey, how's the podcast?" Then he says, "Oh, by the way, I'm ordering famous pizza tonight, just to keep you. Just want to let you know what's going on here."
I'll take some sausage and cheese.
Yeah, I know. Big fan. So coming back to your question.
Well, the next question is, what was the atmosphere like back on set on the Secret City? You got some stories about, painting some squirrels on Bob Ross's trees and
Yeah.
napping in the green room, but it sounds like you might have some cool stories about on set of Secret City. What would those be?
Right. I was young. Remember, I was 19 and I was not an actor. I was a surfer, right? I was a California boy, beach boy, and I had been teaching these after-school classes, so I thought of myself as a coach, a teacher. So, I basically I would say I was an actor. I was a space guy, but I have no acting experience, and so I was just me in a spacesuit. And so at first it was very intimidating. I look back now, and I think I pulled it off pretty good. I talk fast. That's about it. Kistler, they got me uh, enu- uh, articulation lessons, enunciation, speech lessons. Didn't do any good. I was still, mumble. Joel Gorey was an absolute delight to work with. He's interviewed quite extensively in the movie. He was 10 years older than me, and at 20 years old, um, that's it. He was ancient, right? And he was a mime. He had traveled the world doing his mime. He was a performer, an actor, a director, and so he and I really hit it off right off the bat when we first met. And actually, we hit it off at his tryout. He at his audition. I was actually included in the audition to find the characters. We wanted a character. We wanted a dragon. We wanted a scientist, and we wanted a robot, a dragon, a robot, and a scientist. And so we were going to get three characters. And we went through a lot of auditions, and I remember how exciting that was to be sitting there with I was this young little whippersnapper. He would actually ask me for my opinion, and I was just, thinking how is it going to work for 3 months? I mean, are we going to have freedom connection? Well, Joel came on, and funny, talented. He would do these bits for the audition, and he was so good. He was so compelling and totally engaging. And I remember we would just let him go past the minute. We would just let him go because it was so entertaining and was really. So I mean, he got it right. What's that? He's got to be my collaborator. And then we were thinking, well, how can anybody be up against you and Joel doing the other characters? So we decided Joel was going to do all three characters. So that's the story behind Joel being Cindy the Dragon and the robot and the scientist. So when you see me at the mural drawing at the end of the show, you'll see Cindy the Dragon, her arms coming over the mural and blah, 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 talking to me, looking up, and I was pet the Cindy and draw and move her paws out of the way. Well, it was Joel in his robot costume with big green arms. So he's up there. I'm looking at the face of the robot and his arms. It just cracked me up. So I was trying not to laugh a lot of times. So a lot of times I just started laughing, and we made it. It was all improv, which wow. I mean, that was a huge thing. But Joel was such a good coach that he prompted me, he guided me, and I just followed his lead. So it made it a remarkable experience.
Being 19, 20 years old at that time, did you have any idea how big of an impact the show would be?
I dreamed, I visualized, I imagined that it would be global, and I had missed my goal. I hadn't got to a million. It was supposed to be a million kids by the time I was 18, and I missed that goal. And I was just devastated. And I remember my parents, my mom and my dad, inspiring me, saying, "Hey, you've got what 400,000 kids, so now just readjust, recalibrate, and keep going. Never give up. Never give up. Never stop chasing your dream." I was very fortunate. I had very, very supportive parents, and so I reset it to 21. And when the show came out, I was 20, and I turned 21 in August. The show was 40 years ago this month, or last August. The show was started to air 40 years ago, June. I don't remember the year. I think it was 1985, right? Is that 40? And it was June. So when we got out, the show was released. I remember in July, we had the numbers, and we had reached millions, like 8 million or something, 8 million viewers through all the PBS stations. I remember sharing the news with my parents and getting very emotional that I had made the dream. I had it was before my 21st birthday. It's a month before, and I had made the dream. We had, and thank them for their support. And it was just really cool to know that dreams do come true.
That's amazing.
Take three. What was the question?
Imagination Station, you brought an art education to a new generation. How is that spirit different from the spirit of Secret City?
No, it was the same. Just art is art is a drawing. Visual arts is what I believe the most powerful tool to help with the thinking. I mean, the whole point of education is to teach the students to process information, solve problems, to communicate visual ideas. And drawing helps the students, gives them that tool to think in 3D, to be able to visualize, solve problems in multi dimensions, multi levels. So it's the same. Drawing is an incredibly powerful tool. I remember, currently there's this real drive, this real push for the STEM. You've heard this, for the curriculum goals of the nation's educational standards of science, technology, engineering, and math. All very important, noble pursuits, very important for us and all the students and all the teachers to get a handle on that as they grow up. But myself, along with all the visual art educators in the country, and the music teachers in the country, and the drama teachers in the country, were thinking, wait, yeah, that's great, but all of that doesn't mean anything if you don't have the imagination. It means nothing. How can you solve problems? How can you use math and engineering to get to the moon and beyond to Mars without imagining, without creating, without trying to figure it out? I mean, you have to have the creativity. Einstein, right? Imagination is more important than knowledge. So we, as it's evolved, we need to put A into the goal, into that curriculum goal. So now, most of the time, you'll hear of the STEAM goal, the STEAM: science, technology, engineering, art, A, and math. And so that was the basis for my series during the pandemic. I got together with NASA, and my whole really firm belief that art is just this fulcrum for education, this critical component that ties it all together and makes it all meaningful and makes it all accessible, so the kids, the students can use all these different areas to solve problems and to communicate. So during the pandemic, Jack Moore, my old viewer from the Secret City, and I went to his school. He and his wife are both folks at NASA, big mucky mucks, artists. They're both artists, and they wanted to create a Zoom series, a live series for all the students and fans of NASA across the country during the pandemic that we were all in our homes. I remember that, and they wanted to do focus on the exciting project of Artemis. Now, Artemis, the mission to the moon and beyond, the mission to Mars. And we co-created, it was just so fun working with these guys, this wonderful series. We did 8 one-hour episodes over the course of about a year and a half, live streamed Zoom, but we used OBS network. I don't know if you know OBS. It was the operating system that you can live stream to YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all these platforms simulcast, and we use that platform to do an hour program called drawartemis.com. It's still on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube channel, Mark Kistler, you go to the playlist and click Draw Artemis, the pound Draw Artemis, and there's these 8 one-hour episodes where I would pick different components of the Artemis Mars mission. The Orion space capsule, the Orion that sat on top of the SLS rocket and that would separate. And then the Orion spacecraft would go up and it would circle the moon and would connect. It's going to connect with the Gateway's lunar orbiting space station. Kind of like what the scientists and the astronauts explained to me live on Zoom. We had interviews while we were drawing. The scientists would come in, we'd split screen, and the engineers and the and we had astronaut and mission control. They would all share their experiences of how they were all working as a team to make this incredible journey happen. And they would say that the Gateway's lunar orbiting module is like an RV where the astronauts would can stay for days, weeks, and they would drop down to do they would go to work, right? They go to drop down in their lunar explorers, explore around, and they would go back up, and they would stay in Gateway. It's really cool analogy. So they brought up lunar explorers. Said, let's draw the lunar explorer. So we drew the lunar, the lunar Jeep dune buggy. That was fun. Then we drew the spacecraft, the spacesuit that the astronauts would wear. And what was fascinating about the spacesuits is that they're like self-contained spaceships. I mean, they have the power, the thrusters, they have bouncers, they have nutrients and water, they have heating, cooling, and pressure controlled, incredible. And so we drew that space, and the folks that were the engineers behind the spacesuits, we had them on the show. It was incredible. They spent explaining the glove, how incredible the glove was. But it was so supportive and protective, yet they could still move. They can still, do that with these spaceship gloves. Really incredible. And one of the episodes was the tower, the launch tower, the SL rocket, I forget what the initial is, something super large space vehicle, SLS. And at the time, it was the largest, it's the largest spacecraft ever. It will be the largest spacecraft ever left to leave orbit. So we drew that. That was exciting. And just a lot. We did 8 of them, 8 episodes. So that was a great way to convey to the world the power of art. And every lesson, every one of those lessons, we emphasized during the drawing. We put it into the drawing, the theme, the power of art, pulling together science, technology, engineering, and math, and they could see it in the glove, in the launch, in the Orion spacecraft, in the orbiting Gateway space lunar orbiting satellite. That how imagination, creativity. I mean, someone had to think of these things and put them together and make it happen, make it work. How's that for a definite answer?
That's great. If you were to launch those shows today, Secret City, Imagination Station, today in the YouTube era, how might you do it differently?
That's a good question. Fundamentally, it's, to me, my mission, my purpose, my joy is drawing. So it would still be sharing my passion, and I like to think of it as like I want to inspire, I want to infect everybody with my enthusiasm and passion and excitement for drawing, for the visual art. So that would be the same. It would just be the content would be it. And I still have gas left in the tank. Robert Newstead and I, we still want a series. Any of your viewers out there have hey, let's do it for, let's say 2 million. Just come on, we can fund it. We'll do another series. We can get it out on all the different platforms. We can support the PBS that needs it so desperately right now. And we do a series. And what we were talking about and still talk about is having putting me into this the ultimate, the green screen area, so I can be whatever theme I want to talk about and draw. I would create the world. I would draw the world behind me. We used a little bit of this on this series of Draw Squad, a little bit of the idea, but this one would be really cool immersion into the Arctic. The Antarctic. We draw a whole series of penguins, maybe the North Pole with polar bears, and maybe the Serengeti with giraffes and panthers and lions and tigers, or maybe ancient Egypt. I'll be in a pyramid, drawing mummies, being chased mummies. I haven't thought of movie adaptation of that idea where all the kids when they come into the movie would be given it's like they're given a little toy when they walk in, and it's a plastic board with pencil on it, or maybe it's this tiny little digital screen, and the whole point is they sit and the house lights never go off all the way, which is unusual, but the whole movie is me and all my characters that are animated, and I'm live action, and we're on this journey, this adventure, and we're solving different uh, issues or problems or crises. Like, oh my, there's a canyon, we got to get across the canyon, so we draw this really cool bridge with all these intricate details, and so that's one of the lessons. One lesson go maybe a vessel, so I draw some kind of hovercraft, or we draw, one of the characters needs a helmet, or it just there's a number of cool things you can draw and put it into something like that. So I'm just going on. You've got to interrupt me
No, you're doing great, Mark. In this day and of age of kids being addicted to screens and their devices, what is a way that parents and teachers can encourage more drawing?
well, there's a principal, just an amazing man, and his he's down in Albuquerque, and I met him 10 years ago. His name is Trent, and one second. So this gentleman, he's a principal at a school down in Albuquerque. His name is Trent Hefner. Really, really cool guy. Super tall, basketball champion, but just a beloved principal. And he invited me last year to go to a school and spend a day doing school assemblies, where I love doing school assemblies. And little plug here: if any of your viewers or your listeners have kids in school, or they're part of the PTA, PTO, or the principals, invite me to come to your school. I would love to do my school assemblies. I've been to over 4,000 schools in the last 4 years. Isn't that crazy? So Trent Hefner, he had me come down, and the whole goal of this visit was to emphasize less scroll, more soul. Trying to get the kids off the screens and into reading, or into writing, or in my case, into drawing. And so much of my the platforms I use to teach are screens, right? Live stream daily on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, X, and my TV series, right? Public television, cable television, it's all screen. And so I use this opportunity to inspire the kids. We would draw. Of course, I'm using the document camera to project on a screen. And I would say, after this, I want you to spend 2 hours this evening. I want you to draw this in your own version, add your own ideas. We drew a penguin with a parachute. And I said, let's draw a whole scene with 99 penguins and different expressions, and coming through clouds, and turn that phone off. We're using the screen now, so you can use the screen a little bit to inspire yourself. Like if you go to my YouTube channel, or if you draw live with me for my 30 minutes of pencil power every day, that's great. But use that just at the beginning, and then go up. So many people, you just start scrolling, and 2 hours go by, right? I mean, we all have that syndrome. So keep in mind that keep the pencil handy, keep your sketchbook handy. Use the media just as a start, just as a spark, just as a prompt.
You've said that drawing builds confidence, patience, and perseverance. Why do you think those traits are tied deeply to creativity?
I think they tie into each other, right? I mean, the more creative you are, the more fun you're going to have, the more skill you're going to have, the more desire you are to practice. We're putting this into drawing. It could be dance, it could be basketball, it could be writing poetry, whatever it is. The more you do it, the better you get, the more skilled you get, the more creativity rises, desire to do that activity rises. So it's what I call the self-perpetuating success wheel, like a snowball. Practice, practice what you love to do. Just pick up your pencil. Just whatever you're going to do, just got to start. That's the hardest part. Just pick your pencil up and start, and then practice. Builds skill, builds enthusiasm, inspires creativity, motivates practice, builds skill. It just gets bigger and bigger, and then your skill goes skyrockets, and your creativity launches.
Imagination and wrapping up. If Commander Mark could broadcast one final message to today's kids and dreamers, what would it be?
Draw your dreams, work really hard. Dreams do come true. Absolutely. It takes a lot of work. Never give up. Pick yourself up and draw. Dream it, draw it, do it.
Indeed. Thank you very much. And thank you for reminding us that imagination isn't just for kids. It's a lifeline superpower, and you've inspired millions like myself. Where can people find more information about your classes and events?
Hey, exciting. Right there in the description on your podcast and on the bottom of the screen. I'm assuming you're going to edit, right?
Indeed.
Go to my website. Go to markkistler.com. Love to have you visit. You can see the teaser for the movie. Be sure to watch the movie on Tubi.com. I think you'll enjoy it. I hope you get inspired. And on my website, markkistler.com, it'll guide you to my YouTube channel, which I go live every day for sure. I'm on day number 280, the day that we're recording this Zoom. My goal is to do 365 days in a row. And just between you and me and your millions of viewers, I want to hit 1,000. I'm on a roll. 280 days we've been drawing every day. Isn't that wild?
You can do it.
And I have a lot of viewers around the world that are joining me. I call them my learning viewers. You go to my website, markkistler.com, and you'll be able to connect to my YouTube channel, my Instagram channel, and my Facebook artist page and my Facebook personal page. I try to go live on them all, for sure, Instagram live, but then I post the finished drawing on. Did I show you some of the finished drawings that we? If not, I'll email them to you. They're really cool.
Yeah, send them to
me. Yeah, I use Instagram as my index. So if you scroll through Instagram, you'll see the video. Usually it's half hour. Yesterday, I was featuring live with Tim Decker, this former Disney artist and animator. He animated Simpsons for years. He's a professor of animation at Columbia University, Columbia School of Arts in Chicago. Incredible talent. So I sat with him. I was there for like 3 hours, and we did this. The live stream went for an hour and 10 minutes. Usually it's 30 minutes. So we just would talk in and drawing. It was amazing. He, as an interesting fact, he holds the record of the most times that we invited him back as a special featured guest on the Imagination Station. He came back. We did 5 seasons in 5 different locations. I think it was 5, could have been 35. I don't remember. It was a lot of seasons. Albuquerque, Redding, California, Grand Rapids, Michigan, San Diego County. And he was a guest in each of these locations for 3. So it was a total of, I think, 15 episodes that Tim Decker was. And we had guest artists on many of the episodes that would come on and share their skill and their interest and their joy, like, Boeing designers and architects and toy designers. But Tim, the Disney animator, he came back. The most of them came back 1 time, 2 times, maybe 2 times. He came back 15 times. Isn't that wild?
That is wild. Thank you, Mark, for stopping by and having a chat with me.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody joins me and draws every day on my live